Welcome to the View from the East, an unofficial Leyton Orient podcast. This is episode 19, Southend, Shootouts and Striker Rumours. My name's Rob Bennett, and once again, I'm joined by my slightly older brother, Eddie B. Eddie, how are we doing?
Yeah, Rob, all well this side. I hope you're all okay. We've got a few topics. We're just going to get straight into it, I think, this week, Rob. We've got no sponsors we need to talk about. We're just going to go straight into the topics. We've got a few things we want to get on to. So where should we start?
Well, I'll read out the menu, then we are going to go slightly off topic just for a couple of minutes. But the menu this week is a very brief chat about Cheshunt and Hornchurch friendlies. New signing Joseph Olowu. Eddie's managed to pick up another scouting report there. The Gandler interview from Friday. Southend away, which I managed to get to on Saturday. A very brief discussion about the Wellings interview afterwards with Dave Victor, and also a Ballard watch update. We'll talk a little bit about Nathan Baxter's interview after Southend, and then very briefly at the end of the podcast, we'll talk about the kit launch event that is happening on Friday. So, Ed, before we get to the main menu, we spoke about this before we come on. We thought we'd just give a minute to just talk about the sad passing of Kevin Keegan, who I think it was Monday or Tuesday that was announced. Now, the reason I thought we'd bring it up, a couple of reasons. Obviously, at my age, I'm coming up 52. You're slightly older than me. From when we were kids, he would have probably been the main man in terms of England teams early 80s, sort of going into the 82 World Cup. I remember him going to Southampton. I remember him going to Newcastle. I remember him missing a sitter against Spain in the 82 World Cup with his first touch. I think it went wide, really an icon of the sport.
Yeah, it's such a shame, Rob, isn't it? It's unusual to be adored by two or three clubs in someone's career. Obviously, Liverpool, you would say Newcastle. Well, there's probably numerous teams, but obviously to be associated so closely and so passionately with those two clubs, such a sad loss, Rob. And it was interesting because we sort of mentioned, obviously, the reason we support Leyton Orient is Dad supported Orient from a young age as well, and his dad supported Leyton Orient as well. My dad always kept programmes, so and I've always kept them, and I dusted down some, and he always used to make a note every now and again of players he liked, and unbelievably Scunthorpe played Leyton Orient, and I think 68, 69 season, I think we were both in League 3. He's made little asterisks and he's put a player to look, this player is too good at this level, KK. I don't think he's written his name down. So it's interesting, Rob. Obviously he had an eye for a talent years ago, and obviously he's gone on from, I think he go from Scunthorpe to then Liverpool, Hamburg, Southampton, etc., etc.
Newcastle, So big clubs all the way, really, when you look at fan base and stuff like that. The big one, and people saying, he's a two-time Ballon d'Or winner. No, he wasn't. Two-time European Footballer of the Year. That's what he won. It wasn't Ballon d'Or at the time, European Footballer of the Year. Still the biggest award you can get, but don't try and change history on us. I still remember him winning those awards. So, and also what I will mention, obviously when he was manager of Newcastle, when I look back at this, Ed, that team was so entertaining, that probably helped launch the popularity of the Premiership, because Newcastle was such a good team, weren't they, in terms of going forward, and his passion for the city and the club itself, that probably helped lay the foundation for what the Premiership has become in terms of how popular around the world, etc.
Yeah, exactly. He's probably one of the first managers or one of the first teams to start buying players from other European teams. They go to Italy or Spain. But Newcastle, one of the first teams that started buying these players. And I think you're right. I think that probably set the scene for how big the Premiership's got since then. He's probably one of the first bastions of the Premiership to make it into sort of how big it is now.
Okay. And he just seemed like a good bloke, didn't he? So very sad news. Also, Ed, just for you, very sad news today on Monday as we record. Sadly, Ballard from the Goodies has died. I know you'll shed a tear.
Well, he was my favourite Goodie of the three, Rob. And also a little memory. It was the Funky Gibbon was the first record I ever bought when I was a kid. So lots of memories, Rob Bilotti, and then obviously in Spring Watch as well. So sad loss.
Thanks for the laughs, Bill. Right, Ed, let's go on to the main crux of why we're here, Leyton Orient. So we recorded, I think, Sunday of last week, didn't we? So before the Cheshunt and Hornchurch friendlies, which I think then were on the Tuesday. Very briefly, we'll talk about this. It's one of those game days where there's two games at the same time. Squad split, so you got half of the first team at Cheshunt with some youngsters, the other half over at Hornchurch. We're not going to talk about the games. We lost both of them 2-1. It's a friendly. I don't really care about results at this stage. I just wrote down there, I think it's a pressure test of your squad. So in worst case scenarios, if you lose 4 or 5 of your first team squad, how can you sort of mix and match for the rest of it? Can you fill those holes? I think we're what Rich has already alluded to it. I think you find that the squad's a bit lacking, isn't it, in areas in terms of strength and depth. So I think it's a good pressure test in terms of what you need.
Yeah, I think it probably just reiterated sort of like what he's sort of mentioned to us before, isn't it? The starting, perhaps 13, 14 are up for it, League One ready. But perhaps the people behind that just need a little bit more experience, or we need to get some more players in just to strengthen that sort of like, the second 11. And that probably just reassured him that is the case. And then we'll allude to the interview later on afterwards. But he was mentioning sort of we still need about 5 or 6 players just to strengthen the squad.
Yeah. In episode 17, so a couple of episodes back, we went through the squad at the time, didn't we? I think we worked out they probably needed about 7 or 8 at that time. I think a couple more have come in since then. But yeah, there's definitely that need for, just from an example, obviously we're going to talk about strikers. Hanbury come off early against Southend, not because he wasn't like playing terribly or anything like that. It just wasn't physicality of like 2 ugly centre-backs at National League level. He was just found wanting a bit in terms of strength. So it's areas like that. You need a man, don't you, to be able to replace Ballard off the bench or whatever. But we'll come to that later. Ed, on the day as well, they announced a new signing. This is a money signing as well. They've managed to get Joseph Olowu from Stockport County. New centre-back. He's played with Richie before. Ed, it was quite popular last week when we went through the scouting report that we got on young Yusuf, who had been playing at Bristol Rovers, that you managed to get your hands on. You've opened your black book again this week, and an old friend of yours has managed to give you a bit of a lowdown on Joseph.
Exactly. I think it did go down well last week, Rob, and I asked another favour this week, and somebody who sort of like works in sort of like the Manchester area, and they've just given me a couple of some strengths and weaknesses, and I think it's good to know. So we're just going through very briefly. The number one strength was his defensive duels. It's probably standout attribute. Recovery pace. One thing that repeatedly comes in reports on him is athleticism. We'll chuck that
He's
out.
athletic,
and speed. Very athletic. Experiences this level as well. Obviously, over 200 senior appearances, significantly in League One and League Two. Leadership skills, which we know Richie's talked a lot about in recruitment over the last 6 months to a year. Is identified as one of those who can influence the dressing room and become one of the squad's leaders. Very composed on the ball as well, which is what we're looking for. We've got to give you some weaknesses. These are the ones that are written down. There's not many of them. He's not an elite distributor, so I don't think you're going to be seeing him stringing balls 60 yards upfield, which I think is a good thing, because I think we've probably had that over the last couple of years with Happy. And it just hasn't worked, has it? So,
the ball going out.
And another potential weakness is his aggressive style sometimes brings risks. I thought he was a lot taller, Rob. He's only 6 foot. When you see him, he looks. First of all, think he's going to be about 6'2", 6'3", but he's only actually 6 foot. But I think he's probably that person we were looking for, with that experience to help Forrester at the back, just to clear up the mess. Obviously, an imposing figure as well. And one of the interesting things, I think he only came on for, we're going to talk about the Southend game, but it was interesting. Richie said in the 90th minute, I think there was a corner against us, and he cleared a header out, which is what you want from your defence. But over the last couple of years, those sort of balls have been just dropping in the box, and we've been conceding goals. So he's obviously had a good career at Doncaster, where Richie's known him. Obviously, it hasn't quite worked out at Stockport. I think he's still played around 30 games, but I think that there was an injury factor there as well. Also, I think Stockport probably spent all their money the last couple of years thinking they're going to get into the Championship, and it hasn't worked. So they have maybe been looking to sort of recoup some of their money as well. So I think it's a good signing, Rob. It's the sort of player we've been looking for, say, for the last year or two.
Yeah, I suppose something's come to mind there where you mentioned Stockport sort of maybe reshuffling. They've got a new manager in, haven't they? So it could just be that the manager was willing to let him go in terms of he's sort of not worked with him. He might have trust in others. We paid money for him. From what I saw on the Stockport forums, it's 6 figures. So it could be 100 grand, 200 grand, which is sort of still for us, isn't it? It's a relatively big signing. He's young. What is he, 26? So
yeah, it's only 26.
So younger than Happy, and potentially sort of maybe a better defensive sort of all-rounder than what Happy was. I think Happy did have his limitations and sometimes didn't play to his strengths. What was interesting for me as well, you joked a few weeks ago, when we were saying we need a couple of centre-backs, said, Richie will just get one in from like one of his old clubs. And I thought it would be Swindon or something like that, so it'd be like a 35, 36-year-old. But obviously he's had this guy at Doncaster. When I did check, I thought he wasn't at Doncaster long, was he? That was when Richie was manager for 25 games. So he wouldn't have had him for that long. Obviously other managers have come in and helped him develop over time. I suppose is it Grant McCann who's at Doncaster?
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah, so he would have helped along the way as well. And if he would have been under Dave Chandler, wouldn't he, last year at Stockport as well? He's a good manager, isn't he, at that level as well? So that's helpful. I read on that scouting report what it did say, because his recovery, and I guess I mean recovery pace, in terms of being able to run back, it means that we can then play at a higher line in terms of pushing forward and probably getting your wing backs forward, maybe a bit more. You can play a bit more risk in terms of it's risk and reward, isn't it? You can risk it for a biscuit by being a bit more attacking if you've got a bit of confidence that he can recover and at least either slow down the attack or take out the player if needed. But I expect Richie will want to gamble. He'd rather be more attacking, wouldn't he, than have a low line defence and teams being able to get at him. But, we'll see.
I think as well, Rob, it's probably going to be more of a threat when we have corners and we're going forward as well. If we are looking for a goal, it just gives you that extra added person to chuck forward as well, which I just don't think we saw enough goals from Happy, who's 6'5", from corners. So I think we may see that from Joseph.
Saying that though, Happy did score on his debut, didn't he, for Aberdeen? So he scored the other week, I think, about against Queen's Park. So that's like playing the pub team, isn't it, down the road? So
I'm not sure he knew. I'm not sure he knew what he was doing.
Another interesting thing is another London boy, isn't he? So he's born in southeast London. I think then the family have moved up to Harlow. If you put a line between southeast London and Harlow, you basically go right on top of Leighton Orient's ground. So he knows the area as well. But he seems like a really nice fella. Obviously, he's got family in the area as well. And Richie said he's using it as a means to try and progress. So at his age, like we said, he's got a chance, isn't he? If he does well, then like anything, someone will look at him and maybe take him up to the next level.
Yeah, I think that's the difference probably this year, perhaps more than others. The players we're signing on 2-year deals, 3-year deals, they're probably looking at it as a stepping, which is okay, a stepping stone as well. So if they can have a good year, good 18 months here, they're probably looking to progress themselves, getting into the Championship as well. So but obviously that, we've paid money for these guys as well, so that there'll be a sell-on fee for all these guys as well if we're playing at a high level in the in League One. So I think it's the correct way of doing it. It's taken us a wee while to do it, but it looks like we're getting the right type of characters in for a push this year.
Right. On Friday, and we spoke about this last week about David Gandler. David Gandler had done a club interview on Friday for 9 minutes. In London, so he's at the ground, just giving an update on things about the club and himself, to be fair. The things I picked out were obviously the Ballard bit and when they spoke about his company. But a lot of it was what we went over last week. We said with him sort of having his shares bought off of him by Disney in full. I think that's a nice way to say it. that potentially his next project then will be to sort out Leyton Orient, get the ground done, potentially be in London more to work with the team. And that seems to be what's happening.
Yeah, exactly what we were talking about last week. It seems as if they've separated on happy terms. He's probably been paid out. They've got their new person in charge, and he said he's sort of devoted himself to that company over the last 10 years, and now this is his next main focus. Probably, I would say, for the next 5 to 7 years. So now he can spend more time in London, which you would assume would be the right thing, to try and sort the ground out, to get the finances together. He doesn't need another job, Rob. He's a wealthy man in his own right, and you would imagine that he's got the right connections to get the funding needed, and to speak to the local councils as well, to get the project moving on.
Yeah, I'd imagine if he's not already been there while he's over here, he's probably set up that meeting as he would, was it the Green Party, running Waltham Forest Council now. So I dare say he's as I said, he's been to see them or set something up so that he can discuss it. Because like we said, Ed, we need to know, it's getting to the stage, right, we're fed up with updates. You want to know a date, don't you, in terms of either the training ground or the main stadium in terms of when it's going to start. I'm sure he wants that as well, because then investors will be more likely to come in quicker, while it's a little bit cheaper as well, right? Instead of prices going up all the time. I'm sure even Mark Devlin and Taters and they like having him in the stadium, because it must be nice to have him there physically rather than like Teams meetings all the time or on Zoom. And he looks like he knows what he wants to do. When I looked at it, he got really serious when they talked about Ballard and his company. As I said, that's when you could tell sort of, I think, the businessman in his eyes, that I can imagine he could be quite ruthless, because he's, like we said last week, these people are winners, aren't they? When they've made so much money, they've done that by being very clever and being very shrewd.
Yeah, when you look for his career, he's been a successful businessman, hasn't he, in most of the things that he's worked in. So this is probably the next job in many he's probably done previously, and he wants to be a success in this as well. And I think if you've got the boss in-house as well, it keeps everyone on their toes as well, so you're probably asking a lot more questions. You're right, the time difference, so it's 12 o'clock in London, but it's only sort of like 7 o'clock in the morning in New York, so there must be, if he's going to spend more time in London now, I imagine he can get a lot more business done and get on top of things. I think you're going to see him a lot more as the season progresses. And also, Rob, if it will allude to the Ballard transfer on, off, whatever's happening, you want the big man there to say yes or no if they do get that phone call through and it's a figure they are looking for or they're not looking for. But ultimately, it's going to come down to him. And if he's in London, he can make that decision a lot quicker than having to rely on someone picking a phone call up in New York.
Yeah. It's I think that's all we need to talk about. We did pick the bones out of that a lot last week, and it really just sort of dotted a few I's and T's from what we'd already discussed. One thing I did pick up on, I thought, I recognise this guy from somewhere. He looks like someone famous. I thought, where do I know him? So I'm looking at it. If there's any... David Gandler. So then if anyone's a film buff out there, look on Netflix, look for the film Creep and Creep 2. He looks like the main character in those two films. I think it's an actor called Mark Duplass, who created it. Very good films if you like horror films and stuff like that. But he looks exactly like him. Yeah, so everyone's got a doppelganger. So that's what his is. But yeah, have a look on Netflix. You'll be surprised what you see. Ed, let's talk about Southend away for the Justin Edinburgh Trophy. You couldn't be there, as you said. You was in Bath having a nice time, and we'll get back to a conversation you had in Bath while you was down there in a moment. I to and froed about going. I could get a boat over from where I am on the island down here. So it would take me about 40 minutes. I had a ticket. I thought, I don't know what to do. Then my mate Frankie said, well, if you don't want to be getting that boat, I can get you there in under half the time. You have a nice time around there. He had a little bit of business to do between Kent and Essex, as he normally does. He goes, but as long as you're at the ground by 5, then that's fine. Then I can get you home. So I thought, oh, that's handy. I don't have to pay for it. I'm going on the speedboat. His only thing was, I know him as Frankie. When you go on the boat, you've got to call me Fast Frankie. because apparently that's what he's known for on his speedboat. So that was his only thing that I had to live to. He had to be fast Frankie while he was on the water. That was
He
it.
didn't have to drop he didn't have to drop a bag off for him in Southend, did you?
No, he had some business to do on his own. As he said, it goes, because I was a bit worried about it. I'm not great on the water on boats. It goes, Rob, you'll be fine. It's a fast boat. I've never been stopped. That's what he said. So, but anyway, that's how I got there. So I've never been to a game by boat before. I have now. So the game itself, Ed, have you watched any of the highlights?
Yeah, I've watched the highlights. It looked like sort of, I think they may be a week closer to when their season starts. I may be wrong, but obviously they're a good National League team. Southend, as I said, they lost in the playoffs last year. And you know their time's going to come good. They're a well-supported team. Looks as if they played sort of two teams, Rob, sort of like a second 11 to begin with, and then possibly like a more of a first team half-time.
I think it's definitely a second 11 that started. I mean, Richie said in his interview afterwards, always like the youth team, this, that and the other. But when you look at it, I'll read out who would you class as like the inexperienced players. So Phillips in goal, who's never played a first team game for us. O'Keefe, the centre back, Janadu, and Hanbury. They're really the only ones who haven't got game experience in terms of playing for Orient. When you look at the rest, people like Wellings, Mitchell, Archibald, Abiro, even Livet to an extent, Claire was playing. So there's a lot of experience around them. But it was probably a good test in terms of, you're right in what you say. Southend are due to kick off their season, I think, on Saturday. And then sort of, at that level, even though they've got Kieran Dyer as their manager, teams down there are more physical, aren't they? The centre-backs are going to be physical. Hanbury had a bit of a rough ride against the two centre-backs, for instance, so come off early, which is the right call, because it's not worth him being beaten up for another 20 minutes if you can get him off and just change things around in what is a pre-season friendly, basically. I know it's for the Justin Edinburgh Trophy, but in effect, it's a pre-season friendly, isn't it? So, chance to experiment. But there's a couple of quick standouts in that first half of what I thought. Phillips obviously made a great save from a free kick late in the first half. He seems quite good with his feet and distribution, so maybe better than what Killer was in terms of what we saw from Killer last season. Thought that Zach O'Keefe, he was good for his age, playing at centre-back. I thought he was more of a midfielder or left-back, but he seemed really calm. Yeah, sort of, I suppose Mitchell maybe would have thought he could have done a bit better on one of the chances in the first half. Archibald gives everything, doesn't he, really, for the club, so you can't really moan about him. The one person that I'm still unconvinced about, not that I don't like him at all, is Livet. I can't see how he's going to get up and down. He wants to play that low-lying midfield player and get those quarterback passes going, and I just can't see that working over a season for us. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe when we're playing away, maybe that's when he'll come into his own in terms of getting on the counter-attack with a long ball.
I think when he first joined, he wasn't fully fit, was it? And you're right, it looks as if he needs to go on that, as was alluded before, that Field Archibald diet, just to put a bit of weight on. And will you get that amount of time in the First Division or League One to sort of like be able to spray those sort of passes that he wants to play around? Perhaps you've got more time in Scotland. Perhaps he's a good squad player, Rob.
Maybe he might need two runners around him, I think.
Yeah, sort of like a bit of a panic signing in January. There was a few signings we did, and perhaps we're just we're left with him. So he may be part of the squad opposed to starting 11.
I mean, you never know. He might come really good, mightn't he, given the chance if there's injuries and stuff like that. At the moment, he's not in your first 11, is he? But in my eyes, maybe Richie will tell me different, but I wouldn't be starting him in that Oxford game or the Sheffield Wednesday game, for that matter. So second half, Ed, I'm not going to go into all the substitutions. I'm not a stato or anything like that. But obviously, first 11s came into effect, really. So Baxter was on. The two centre-backs were in place. Forrester and Olowu, the full-backs were in place. Everything was there. And obviously, a lot better. Southend got a cracking goal, to be fair. Livet at the time when he was on just didn't track the runner, and he's taken his chance. Ballard scored another cracking goal. That is if anyone asks you what is a typical Ballard goal, I would say that is it. Sort of very clever around the central defender. He was smart enough to hold back on the central defender, let him made a mistake when he didn't have to, and then just capitalised on it and put the ball away nicely. But it's pre-season. I don't try and get too sort of excited about these things. Main thing, Orient packed out their end. It was like a good, like you said, it's like an Essex derby, isn't it? We've got a lot of fans in the Essex area. I'm sure they'd banged it out for that.
I've seen the Ballard goal. It looks as if he took it really well. I think the media team have posted a clip, may have been today or yesterday, and they've obviously looked as if they're touting him for the rest of the championship clubs, because I think it's had I think last time I looked, I think it had about 150,000 hits. So they're probably sent it out to the whole of the EFL. So, but yeah, he's proving a point, isn't he? He's our main man. Another good finish from him. But yeah, you're right, Rob. We won the game. Just move on. Even if we'd lost the game, I don't think it's a run out. It's getting the players match fit. And it just gives Richie a bit of an idea of what his starting 11 could possibly look like if we didn't get any more signings in.
There's a couple of bits I did pick up on. So going forward, so Hayden then will drop in to make it a back three with Forrester and Olowu. So then they was pushing the fullbacks on. They just become wing backs. So you're playing with a back three then, and that was really good. Hayden would just drop in all the time. He's got the height and the physicality for it, so he was good. Dobber's going to score a shed load of goals. I would put money on him getting double figures this year, because he's just got that skill set about him. He's just got something about him. He's a cross between like a Donnelly and Aaron Connolly. So he's got that sort of low centre of gravity like Connolly, but then with Donnelly sort of eye for a pass and stuff like that. He's got a good skill set, so he'll be really good. Obviously, if they all stay fit. But yeah, it's there's good signs there. Who's the other one that don't spring it? I liked him as well. He's quite taller than what you think, quite physical. He looks quite slight on the interviews, but he's got something about him. He'll put it about. I dare say he'll get a few yellow cards as well through the season. But there's good signs there. I mean, it's only early days, isn't it?
I was going to say, but the team looks stronger. That team looks stronger the second half against Southend than played the last game against Burton.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting. I think that's almost that finishing team is what will start against Oxford, I think, unless there's injuries or we get other players in, or he feels that he doesn't want to risk the first team for that Oxford game. I think he should. I'd play my strongest team if it was me. But it'll be interesting. You know, the sad thing about it, Ed, I said Fast Frankie said I had to be out there by 5. Guess what happened? I missed the penalties. I had to be out the ground. And you know who I blame for that? Hydration breaks. If we didn't have water breaks, I'd have seen the penalties. But at least we won.
But the main thing is you got back on the boat in time, yeah?
Fast Frankie got me home. I was at the beer festival just up the road later in the evening. So a great day to be had. Thank you, Frankie. Ed, quick interviews after the game. We'll go over these very quickly. So Welling's done the club interview. That's fine. Everyone's listened to the Dave Victor interview on BBC London because he gives more of an update, doesn't he, on the Ballard situation, and he's probably as sick as talking about this as anyone else. I think Richie, for the player, for the club, and probably for himself, just wants it done, doesn't he? So he can crack on and get whoever he's got lined up into the club as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think there's two ways to look at it. There's the manager's view of looking at it, isn't there? He probably would have sold him for 2-3 million quid, just get the money in and get replacements in ASAP, where obviously the senior management of the club think that they want to hold out for some more money. Because that extra money will probably help us be stronger in January and perhaps the next season as well, and get perhaps a better type of quality player in. So it's sort of it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, isn't it? I can understand both points of view, but obviously there's only coming up to a month now left of the transfer market open. So I don't know what camp you want to be in, Rob. Would you sell him or do you hold on?
I think we've gone through every possible scenario, haven't we, over the podcast the last few weeks on what you could do. I mean, what it's interesting, whatever happens, we need 2 strikers, I think, even if Ballard stays, I think you still need 2, possibly, because if Ballard either gets injured or you don't want him playing cup games, then you're going to need something else. There's a point, actually. Would you play him against Oxford? Would you potentially want to cup tie him if someone's going to come in for him? I don't know. But it'd be interesting, even if right now, why aren't they at least trying to get one of the strikers that Richie wants? Whoever's on their list, get one of them in.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're not, Rob. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a striker join us in the next week, even possibly come out of a new kit on, Rob, on Friday, to get one out of the way. And then there's a possibility there's a bigger striker out there if we do sell him any later than that. I reckon there must be close to one striker, because they have to be, don't they? Because if heaven forbid,
you can't risk it.
Say you got injured,
we have nothing.
But say Ballard got injured only in the next friendly game, then we've got no one up front, have we? Of any experience anyway.
Okay.
And I don't think he wants to go down the Arsenal under 21 loan route anymore. He probably wants a proven striker.
Yeah, we need I'm not being controversial. I said we need a man up front, don't we? Not a youngster, basically. Interestingly, there was a rumour that basically Bristol had offered, say, 5 million, I think, but then with no sell-on. So Orange had said no. So that was the latest rumour about that. What I will say about Ballard, the 2 goals he scored, the one against Hornchurch and the Southend one, classic Ballard goal. So the one against Hornchurch, first touch, feet, bang, in the goal. Like we said, the Southend one, running down the centre-back, let the centre-back make a mistake, bang, busted it into the top corner and over the goalkeeper. So obviously other people are going to be seeing that. I still wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden it said, well, actually, we're not talking to Bristol at the moment. It's a West Ham, it's a Middlesbrough. You know, you could pick any team in the Championship, they'll be looking at him, wouldn't they? So it could be all of a sudden someone says, there's 7 million, take it or leave it. And then you've got to take it, didn't you?
There's a really good podcast, it eludes me the name of it at the moment, it just talks about the Championship and the lack of money that's been spent so far. And I think a lot of it was down to the World Cup as well. And obviously that's only just finished over 10 days ago. So like Wrexham haven't spent any money, Birmingham haven't spent any money, Burnley. There's numerous clubs that haven't spent any money. They have got the money and they probably all need a striker. So perhaps in us saying we don't take the first offer, perhaps they're hoping that 3 or 4 other clubs come in for a bidding war for him, and someone just goes, "Oh, sod it, there you go. There's 7 million quid for him, and plus a player on loan or something like that, plus your 20% sell-on fee that you want."
Before we wrap this segment up, can you tell me what happened while you was in Bath?
Yeah, it's a funny story. We've only obviously got a couple of weeks before the season starts, and then my Saturdays are fully booked up. So me and Mrs. B went down to Bath this weekend, did most of the touristy things. We went into the spa as well, a nice one on top of a hotel. I had my little Leighton Orient Forever swim bag, keeping all my bits dry. And lo and behold, someone comes over to a Bristol City fan. Do you support Leighton Orient? Yeah. And he wanted to know about Don Ballard. I think he's probably read the same things we've read about him. So I sort of like told him I think he's worth a lot more than what you're offering. And I think they're pleased at the moment. They've bought a striker from Plymouth, haven't they? Sort of like 4.5 million, and they've got the manager from Lincoln. I think the guy I was speaking to some connect. I think a big sponsor of Bristol City, hence why lots of conversations. I think he said they've had 3 or 4 offers rebuked by Leighton Orient, but he seemed quite confident they were going to come back in. So I'm only saying what he's told me, but I said he was, for his age, £5 million, nothing. So hence why, if he had 3 years left in his contract, that's probably why they're holding out for. I reckon they're probably holding out for 7, Rob, with perhaps a 20% sell-on fee.
How did you get out of that conversation? Because there's a time and a place to be talking Ballards when you're half naked.
Swam away from him.
Yeah, there's been swim away. When the conversation gets bad, swim away. That's always the best thing. Ed, just a couple more bits to wrap up on. So Nathan Baxter done an interview after the game, which, that's not the most entertaining thing in the world. But then we both come to the conclusion, is Nathan Baxter the poshest player we've ever had?
Well, from his conversation, Rob, he comes across very well. Obviously, he comes from Westminster, Rob, doesn't he? He speaks very well.
He does.
So we was like thinking, obviously, I wouldn't surprise me if he didn't go to. He may have gone to a private school. I'm not judging that, but it just comes across. Yeah, he could be our poshest player at the club so far, Rob.
We'll come to that. I used to work in Westminster, so I know the very rough parts of Westminster. I know the very posh parts of Westminster. If anyone knows Churchill Gardens near Pimlico or Lillington Gardens near Pimlico Station, I would class that as maybe part of the rougher areas. I don't think he's from there. He sounds like, as you alluded to, from one of the well sought after roads in Westminster Borough. Ed, I've come up with an idea. So I've looked at the levels of nobility in terms of sort of in English society. So they rank from baron to viscount to earl to marquis to duke. So I've come up with a little thing for us just for the podcast, a little bit of fun. So for every 3 clean sheets, Nathan Baxter will get a new title. So if he gets 3 clean sheets, competitive games, not these pre-season friendly lark, after 3 clean sheets, he'll be Baron Baxter of Leighton, right? So then after 6 clean sheets, he'll become Viscount Baxter of Leighton, and so on. So we'll have a bit of fun with it as we go through the podcast. It was easy with Will Dennis. He was just Les Dennis, but this guy's so posh, I need to give him a title.
I know. I think it's a good game, Rob, for the rest of the season. He does speak very well, Rob. I'm very impressed.
Yeah. What a lovely lad. Well, you can say, really, isn't it? Right, Ed, Friday of this week, it is late night. Keep pumping this out. They've even done a Big Penny Social, done some sort of video at a club with a well-spoken young lady sort of trying to sell tickets for the event on Friday. Kit launch, isn't it? Should be a good event. What time does it start? Is it 7?
I think, yes, it's 7. Yeah, I mean, I think it does go until 1 o'clock. I imagine perhaps 7:30 is perhaps when they do the kit launch. I think we're going to be down there a little bit earlier, aren't we? You've managed to hire a pool table upstairs, haven't you?
So, yeah, we've got a pool table from 5 o'clock through to 6:30. So that is in Flukes, which is upstairs. So, yeah, more than welcome to come and see us there. Now, Ed, normally I would say we need a bit of sponsorship for this show. We could do Buy Me a Coffee. I've got something much more simpler. If you want to come and join us or say hello during the event, just buy me a pint. There's nothing to it. It's no sponsorship. I don't need your money. Just buy me a pint. I need a refreshment. The good thing is you buy me a pint, I'll buy you one back. That's what happens.
Yeah, it's easy, isn't it? So what time are we there, Paul? Is it 5 o'clock?
We're there we're 5 o'clock till 6:30. I'll put this out as well for the Late Annoying media team. I'll contact Richie Wellens. Richie and PT, you're competitive. If you want to take on Walthamstow Fats and Champers in Flukes for a half hour, sort of, we'll get a bit competitive, talk a bit of football. We'll give you our ideas on the squad. But yeah, come and have a few frames with us, Richie and PT. Good luck. We'll play a pound a frame and see how we get on.
Yeah, it's good TV. Why wouldn't they? I might have a few comments to you, Rob.
I'd imagine that would get quite competitive. I do know that Richie, from one of his older podcast interviews, which is like filmed, he has got a blue glazed Leicester pool table in his like games room, or probably his trophy room, he'd call it. But I'd imagine that would get quite competitive. But best man wins.
Let's hope he doesn't turn up with his own pool cue. We're in trouble.
Oh, no, I'm not having that. Ed, before we leave, any ideas on what the kit's going to be? On the little graphics, I said this weeks ago, it's like red and white stripes. I'm wondering if it's going to come out like the Danish Hummel kit of the World Cup 1986. That'd be quite good.
Yeah, I mean, no one really knows, do they, Rob? I'm surprised nothing has been leaked, which is really good, actually. So there's been no announcements before that. I'm guess it's going to be red, isn't it? Well, yeah, with
you don't show.
But you sort of said like perhaps with white pinstripes down it to begin with, didn't you? But perhaps that is just a bit too simple. Perhaps it will have some. I'm guessing it's going to be. I think it's going to have some players' names engraved on the shirt, or as we said before, perhaps some old managers, some people who connected to the team of some description. I'm just going to go crazy. I'm going to go red top, white shorts, red socks. There you go.
I wouldn't mind seeing something like the old, I don't know, River Plate kit of the early 80s or the Peru kit, when it's like that. Back in the day. Ed, you saying about old managers, I'm not buying a kit if it's got Paul Brush and Patsy Holland written on it. I know that.
That's yours. You buy those half price.
Bloody hell, you could give those.
And I'm guessing there's going to be like a big. They've obviously filmed an advert, something, haven't they, to sell it? So I imagine there's going to be a big screen opening, and there's going to be some sort of video content beforehand. And then I'm going to go for a current player coming out with a kit on, and I'm going to go for a couple of old players, Rob, as well.
I've got the image now, Ed. That stage, dry ice, and then a new sign comes out in the kit. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Part of me does think that the reason they haven't sold Ballard is probably because he's in all the adverts for the new kit, and they thought, "Blimey, look, we can't get rid of him if he's in all the adverts." You would do, wouldn't you, if he's your best player?
Ed, I've said this about 6 monthly calendars. Don't tell me he's on the calendar all the way through for next year, because that's not going to sell very well. I tell you again, Leighton Orient, 6 monthly calendars. Get on it. It's hot. Get on it.
He's gonna walk out in the kit, and on Saturday he'll be sold.
Yeah. I suppose as well, they go sneakily put the third kit out. There's been no mention of that.
Any chance? It's like the season kicks off in a couple of weeks, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not asking a lot Leighton Orient, but yeah, third kit, that'd be nice. Also, I said this a couple of weeks ago, it would make my day if Big Phil's on that door and he's ticking people's names off. Or when you've done the big kit launch, nobody's going to the store to buy any kits. You've got to get Big Phil round there saying, "You buy one. All right, Phil." I'm off. Here's my card. Go and spend it. If they do stuff like that, have a bit of fun with it, Leighton Orient. It's about having fun, isn't it?
Well, I imagine there'd be players scattered around, won't there? Because it'd probably be part of their job remit, won't there, to have your pictures taken and get them to sign stuff. You would expect that, wouldn't you?
I'd be worried if someone like Backinson or Michael Craig were collecting glasses, because then you probably know that they're not going to be with us for the rest of the season. But
yeah, you do the dishes.
Yeah, that's a bit cruel, Ed. I didn't go that far, but it could be something like that. But anyway, Ed, it's only a few days ago. They should put, and I said for the season start, they've got the countdown clock. Put a countdown clock on for your Big Penny Social on Blackhall's Beer Mile, because I'm not even sure if they've sold all the tickets, Ed. They should have done, but when I looked at the website today, you can still buy tickets. But, the opportunity is there. Meet players, meet the manager, potentially. David Gandler might be on a table with a tie around his head after about 2 shandies. For all we know, it might be a great time, mightn't it?
What a selfie that would be. But the other things, don't we get our third kits on Friday as well?
We get the fourth kit, don't we?
Yeah, fourth kit. Okay. All right, yeah.
So, we've got to remember to take them home with us if we have a few too many scoops. Right. So, as you said, look, if you are at the event, we'll be up in Flutes up until about 6:30, then down. I think your doors don't open until 6 anyway. But if you are out and about, we'll put our image on X, or my image on X, so that you recognise who I am. And then we'll go from there. Come and say hello. Buy me a pint, I'll buy you a pint back. That's how it's going to work. It should be a good evening, Ed, shouldn't it? We'll have a lot of fun. And hopefully,
looking forward to it.
Hopefully the club do well out of it. But until then, up the O's.
Come on, the O's.